Welcome to the LaunchPreneur Experience. My name is Fernanda, your host, a launch and summit strategist and producer. And I am so delighted to be here with Doris. And Doris Whip, it's a pricing expert. And I cannot wait for you to watch her presentations. She's also a fractional chief financial officer, and I'm going to let her explain to you how she has been transforming her clients' business. And with her presentation, you're going to learn how to supercharge your pricing power, which is so important when we're doing launches, because we think about some of the the pricings, and we think about how much it's worth. And a lot of times we don't think with the end in mind. We don't have all the planning and the projection. So I'm very excited to have you here, Doris. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited I'm here. So to your question about what a fractional CFO does, so our job is to ensure helping women business owners, which is my primary focus, to help them grow and scale, and also find ways to optimize, and really more of a forward-looking view, because at times that we are so busy as business owner, we think about day to day. But then how do we really plan out your vision for your business in the next 1 to 3 years to ensure you have a strong foundation to grow your business? The other piece is pricing is so critical. When I think about pricing is kind of the front engine of what you sell. If you really optimize your pricing and also how you really align with your product, it really driving your customer retention. And if you think about a profitable business, don't you really need to have a strong customer base and repeat customers? So therefore, pricing is really front and center in everything we do in financial planning.
Absolutely. So I can't wait for you to watch her presentation. And she's going to talk about how to avoid common costly pricing mistakes, and how to you can actually get strategies that are proving to support you creating a profitable business. And she also, when you registered, she also offered an amazing gift, which is the price to profit guide. And literally you can use this to start getting your pricing right. Watch her presentation. And also, if you're part of the VIP package, the VIP experience, you get to talk to her for 20 minutes, and she's going to give you a pricing strategy call. Is that right?
Yep, that's exactly right. And also from a pricing perspective, I can tell you, this is one thing that everybody has an opinion about. Whether it's too high or too low, or you may be following some guru telling you, no, your price is too low, 2x this, 4x that. There's no context of what they're sharing you with the pricing advice. So the best thing is really dial into your specific business situation to really think about price, and also supporting your product and your profit planning. And without that, you'll be just following everybody's advice and not really knowing whether this makes sense for you. So that's why I'm so excited about pricing, because it's a bit of an art and a science. We have models that work through all the math, but I will tell you one other important thing is your mindset. At the end of the day, pricing is a bit of a perception and psychology. So that make pricing fun. I'm really excited about sharing you in the presentation. You can start to sense how pricing can really become a critical pillar in the way you run your business.
Amazing, amazing. And it is absolutely. I can't wait to watch your presentation. And I hope you all enjoy it, and make sure to connect with Doris. Make sure to ask her questions. And she does have a action step for you. So put in the comments, I'm sorry, it's the end of the day and it's Friday. I'm already like starting to talk funny, but post your biggest takeaways in your social media, and also the action steps she has is for you to what you're going to do in the next 30 days. So make sure that you connect with her, follow her on social media, and ask questions. Thank you so much, Doris.
Thank you so much. Looking forward to it. Welcome to Strategic Pricing Workshop. I'm so excited you're joining us this week for this special training. I'm very passionate about pricing. This is something that is very fun and also very powerful tools. Before we get started, I'm curious, when you think about pricing, what does it mean to you? And let's just do a quick exercise. Just think about one word that describes pricing to you. Please write it down. Now, the second question I want to ask you is, instead of thinking about pricing, what about premium pricing? How would that change the word that you pick? What's the first word come to mind? The reason why I asked you to do this exercise, because that may illustrate how you think about and how you feel about pricing. How are you leveraging pricing in your business today? So keep that in mind. I'd like to know what you write down so we can come back and talk about it. Let me briefly introduce myself. I'm a seasoned CFO managing $1 billion of business for the last 25 years in venture capital to Fortune 100 company. I specialize in managing financial planning and strategic pricing team. I have an accounting degree, an MBA, and a globally recognized pricing expert. Under my leadership of a $1.7 billion business, we're able to grow over $300 million additional profits for the last 5 years. And also in particular, love about launches and pricing, because that is one of the components of new product and revenue stream as we manage our finances as a CFO. And I personally spearheaded the Walmart neighborhood launch from a product mix perspective, the customer profiling, and also from a pricing perspective. So now as a fractional CFO for supporting women business, I have streamlined the financial and strategic pricing principle from big company and put together a price to profit framework that really help business to think about leveraging prices to profitability. And particularly before we talk about pricing, one of the component is customers. Without really a deep understanding of customer, we're not able to offer the value and the product and the pricing that align with what they're looking for. So the price and the customer and profit planning really comes together. So are you ready to get started? I can tell you price is around with us every single day. So for us in the United States, we just celebrated Thanksgiving, and one of the big sale of the year is the Black Friday, followed by Cyber Monday. So you see sales everywhere. And you can see there's just a lot of discounting and using price as a promotion to help entice customer to make a decision and buy now. Now, I want to show you another example. I don't know if you're familiar with this department store, Kohl's. They are based in Milwaukee. And what they typically do is they offer discount and also something called Kohl's Cash. And I can tell you I'm a Kohl's customer, and I'm conditioned to buy stuff when they're 30%. So typically they offer 15%, 20%. I know they're going to give me 30%. So I'm conditioned to wait. And also when they have Kohl's Cash to buy it. So price promotion as a company tactic Kohl's has used to promote how customer make decision. But promotional pricing happens for some, but some of that product will not be doing any promotion. So I don't know if you're familiar with Dyson. Dyson is a company that specializes in vacuum. Blow dryer is a very high quality product. And I love their product. I've been trying to buy some of the new things actually for Thanksgiving. But guess what? It doesn't really matter the promotion period because they never offer discount. So for the brand like Dyson, they have evergreen pricing because they have perfected their product and they know the customer what they're looking for. So therefore, they don't have to do promotional pricing to entice people to buy, but they have created a list price that is valuable to the customer. So we call them evergreen pricing. So it doesn't really matter the price, so to speak. Customers already associate the value of what Dyson offer with the price, so they're willing to pay for it. Now, let's look at another example really quick. Everyday membership. Don't we love membership? We have membership around everywhere. So here's a fair example. Netflix, Spotify, Audible, Amazon Prime, Costco membership, or you like HelloFresh. So think for yourself, for these everyday membership, they're everywhere. What's your buying decision criteria? Which one service that you will pick and buy? And I'd love to know what you pick and why. And you probably a consumer of multiple services here. I can tell you I have, out of here, I'm a Prime member. I have Netflix, I have Spotify, I have Audible, Costco. I don't have HelloFresh, but I have quite a bit of membership. But for those don't have multiple membership, if you will choose one, what's your purchasing criteria? I'm curious. And I think this is helpful to understanding how you make decision. Now let's do a third example. People oftentimes talk about value, customer value. What's that really mean? Well, look at a very simple example, a paperclip. On the left-hand side, you have an option to buy 100 paperclip for about $8. Or you can choose a premier version of a Tiffany paperclip. Well, it has a little bit better metal, right? It's selling silver, but it's a paperclip, okay, for $200. So when I think about value, it can mean different things to different people. Now, why we talk about all this exercise? Because pricing is around us every single day. There's a piece of pricing psychology. And honestly, everyone has an opinion about the price. Too high, too low. But at the end of the day, is everyone values something different. And why I love pricing is so much is from a CFO perspective. Obviously, I have a lot of model and pricing calculator that I do help with my client to figure out the profit planning on the science side, the math part. But there's another component of the art of that with pricing as well. So pricing is both art and science. That's what can make it fun because you can really use in pricing to promote, like I talk about promotional pricing. In fact, pricing is one of the 4 Ps in marketing. And you can leverage pricing and really optimize pricing is super powerful. So I wanted to talk to you about this strategic pricing framework, which is very important to really understanding why the price is what it is and when this is optimized. And there's 6 things you need to balance. On the left-hand side is around cost. How many people really truly understand the cost it has to deliver the services? And I find for product-based entrepreneur, they may have a better understanding of how much you buy this product, what the shipping cost, what's the logistic, what's the labor, how you're delivering it. Seems more tangible. But on the online space, especially doing digital product, informational product, I find a lot of the business owner has a hard time really understanding the true cost of delivering the services. Now, secondly, price we're going to talk about today, right, is one of the components that really is the communication of the value, right? People react to the price. And then once you set the price, how do you know your business is profitable? So profit is also another component. It has to be balanced. On the right-hand side, is also really critical is before we talk about the price and cost, is really the customers. Who are the customers, right? And customer is not one size fits all. And we do a lot of analytics on customer, how we profile them, how we segment them. Just think about Costco membership. You have a base membership, you have executive membership, right? So people value different things and you have to really understanding your customer, then you can develop the different product and different price point. And once you know the customer, how you communicate the value is equally important because without really the translation of that, they don't know what's that mean. It's just a price doesn't really have a context of the value. And then once you know that, what customers value, who are your targeted customer, then you can really create a product service that's really in line with what they're looking for. So that's why you have this balance of these 6 different boxes. They all tie into strategic pricing. So you can see why it's so fun to talk about pricing, because it's not just dollar and cents. Really is the heart of your business to really understanding customer. And that's where I do a lot of customer analytics and strategic pricing. Ultimately, it ties to profit planning because they all tie in together. So for today, I wanted to walk through what are the key things you can learn today. Well, strategic pricing, we briefly touched on the framework. And also, if you can supercharge your pricing power, obviously you want to avoid the costly mistake people make in pricing. And number 3, learn about really winning pricing strategy you can use right away and actually simplify how you make pricing decisions. Number 4, I'm going to share with you my proprietary price to profit framework, that how you can use it to really create sustainable, profitable business. Well, as we talk about, and you all know, what's the most important superpower in business, I can say it is pricing. Let me show you why and how. So think about a very simple profit formula. Price times number of units sold minus your cost is your profit formula. Let's assume for a moment you have a program is $5,000 and you have 50 people sign up and your cost is $20,000. So 5,000 times 50 minus 20,000, your gross profit is 230,000. Now, let's assume for a moment you have activated your pricing superpower and you're able to demand higher prices. Let's say you can raise price by 20%. So instead of $5,000 program, now you can charge $6,000. Keep it simple, same 50 people sign up, the cost stays the same as 20,000. So 6,000 times 50 minus 20,000, now your profit become 280,000. Don't you see 280,000 compared to what you've done before? Your price change 230. You are able to incrementally increase $50,000 in profit. Now, let's assume for a moment, instead of price increase, let's talk about cost cutting. Well, people talk about cutting costs all the time, right? Let's see what happened. So let's assume instead of changing the price, we are able to reduce your cost by 20%. So 5,000 programs stay the same 50 people sign up. Now your cost instead of 20,000 is now 16,000. So what happened to your profit? It becomes 234,000 compared to what you have done before. Any changes in cost, 230,000, you're able to make $4,000 more profit. I mean, it's still a good thing, but you can see the power of pricing increase compared to cost cutting is day and night. And at the same time, cost cutting, there's certain area that truly is a tactics that you need to leverage. And that's what, we do as a CFO, but also the areas that we should look at from a price increase perspective. So you can use multiple different financial strategy to really maximizing your profit. So I hope you see why pricing is a superpower and you really want to pay more attention to pricing now in your business. But it sounded good, like, okay, I know that makes so much sense. I love to raise my price. But guess what? It's not that easy. I don't know. It's so challenging. I talked to many different business owners, especially for women. It's so challenging. And oftentimes how they feel is very confused and overwhelming. They just so worry about if they price it right. Is it too high? Is it too low? Am I charging it right? What's the right number? And it's always second guessing themselves, and which I don't blame them as well, because pricing has a lot of moving part as we talk about, strategic pricing framework, right? You have to understand your cost, your customer, your value, and your profitability. You have to put it all together to really make it all work. So no wonder why it could be very confusing. But Also, I also found there's many common pricing mistakes people make. So I wanted to share with you a couple of the highlight for pricing mistake to see if you're currently making those mistakes or at least you're aware of so you can avoid them because those can be costly to your profitability of your business. There are 9 of them, so I'm going to highlight a couple. Number one is charging by the hour. So I think that's very common that we kind of figure it out. Hey, this is my profit. This is how many hours I can work. This is how much I will charge. And what the challenge is for the hour you can charge, there are very limited billable hours you can charge for your client. With 24 hours, you use some time for taking care of your client, but really a lot of times are for administrative work, training your team, prepping it and planning. Those are the time that you will not factor into it. So you end up undercutting yourself. And also by charging by hour, you will limit your earning potential because it's only based on hourly rate. It's not based on a value that you deliver. Now, the other thing I've seen people do is because of the experts in what they do. So let's assume, for example, I build website and then it takes me 3 hours to build a WordPress website. So I'll be like, okay, this is how much I'm going to charge my client because it takes me 3 hours to do it. And guess what? You are undercharging yourself because on average, people not knowing tech, they won't be able to build their website in 3 hours. They just can't happen. So when you're charging by the hour based on how much time it takes you, really undercut your potential. Really need to look at the whole value of your services. And one other piece I want to point out is for competitive pricing, right? We always do research, see how much everybody's charging. Well, someone is charging this much, and let me charge a little bit lower so that I feel safe because now someone already figured out the market. So if I just charge a little bit cheaper, I have a better chance to really sell my services. Or you find out the competitive pricing is here and the low end is here. And then instead of just a little bit below your high price, you're kind of like, hey, right in the middle. It feels so safe. It just feels okay because you're in the safe zone in the middle. And I can tell you that's a very common mistake. You price in the middle because what's the middle mean? It's average. Are you average? And you are not. So you don't want to be charged right in the middle, right? So these are the mistakes that people make all the time. Let me give you a couple more. One of the things for women business owners particularly really have a hard time raising prices because we're so worried about driving people away when we charge higher price increase. And what happens is we tend to do price lock. Price lock, there's nothing wrong with it, but depends on how long you locked it because their price lock is also one of the tactics you can do to kind of increase your customer retention. But blindly just apply price lock on everything is not going to be viable for your business. And one other thing I want to point out is affordability. And this is very common that just remember the exercise we did earlier about your purchasing decision for membership. You value Costco more than Netflix, than Audible, than Spotify, right? Everyone has their own purchasing decisions. And oftentimes people use their own financial situation to reflect on whether someone can afford our services. And I can tell you there is totally a myth because your financial situation has no indication of how your client's financial situation is. You actually don't know. And so therefore, you don't want to project that affordability to them because this is the price and service and let them make the decision. And instead you make decision for them or pre-screening people just because you have a perception of who they are. And lastly, I want to kind of talk about the cost component. We briefly talk about it, especially for digital product. People don't truly understand the cost to really enable the services. So without truly understand the cost, of course, you're going to price lower and then turn out really impact your profitability. And also the other part is once you set the price, how confident you are when people are asking about your service. If you find yourself love to talk about the product and transformation, everything you have to offer, what they're going to get, and you get so excited about it because you know you can help them out. But when it comes to the pricing and the cost, they ask you what's the investment, how much is your program, and then you find yourself freeze. And you rather talk about everything else except the number. That also give you an indication that there's something that is holding you back. So I want you to kind of take a moment to think about, does any of those mistakes make sense to you? And how are you going to take this information and we think about how would you translate pricing to your business? The good news is it may sound so confusing and so overwhelming and so many moving parts. The good news is I have a very simple plan to show you. It's going to give you so much clarity about pricing that you have not heard about before. You ready for this? Actually, pricing, there's only 3 pricing strategy any winning company use. There's only 3. So let me briefly talk about what they are. One is scheme pricing. Scheme pricing is basically premier pricing that you truly differentiate yourself from your competitors. Therefore, you can command premier pricing, just like Apple iPhone, for example. Neutral pricing, this is where a services doesn't really have a big differentiator in the market. So let's just assume gym membership for a moment. You pretty much know what to expect for a gym membership, and you expect those machines, and maybe you want additional, personal training, you pay extra. But for the most part, you have a base understanding of what you're looking for. So there will not be a drastic difference in pricing as far as gym membership go. The last one is penetration pricing. This is where you want to price your service low to really drive volume and really gain market share. This is a play where you wanted to get broader audience and customer base. That's where you use penetration pricing to get started. So out of those 3, looking at your services, your signature offer, your program, which strategies make sense to you? Just take a moment and pick one for now. Now, of course, picking the price is just only the first step, right? There are pieces that I talk about the strategic pricing framework. You really need to balance all that as an ecosystem to really optimize your pricing. But at least you can simplify how you think about price now, because really there's only 3 pricing strategies that you can pick from. Next, I want to talk about offer, because I found many, especially virtual event, there may be an offer, a specific things that, people wanted to promote and about. And there are always, really a good transformation and information. But sometimes I found the offer is not aligned with the pricing. So when you heard about the price, and then they talk about what they're offering, then you feel like it's not congruent, something is missing. So really talk about the strategic pricing, right? The offer needs to be aligned with the customer. That's when they see like, hey, this is no-brainer. Of course I'm going to pay for it, because they truly understanding the offer that you have, what's your brand promise. That is so important. So example, like for my CFO services, more for a higher tier business owner, at least 300K and above, I do my brand promise is a guarantee. I have a certain amount that I guarantee for them to fund based on the number of strategies that I would use from a CFO audit perspective, and offer them a step-by-step program to really execute, to really maximizing the profit. So what's your brand promise you're going to give? And the other thing is, we talked about value before, right? How do you really translate and communicate those values? So I just kind of lay out very basic foundationally. Most of the time that when you think about value is time, money, health, and relationships. So let's assume for a moment that I am a newlywed bride. My wedding is coming in 6 months. So of course, I bought a beautiful wedding dress a year ago. And it was so awesome. I'm so looking forward to it. But guess what? Winter comes and it's getting cold. I start to eat a little bit more every single day. And now I start feel like, I feel a little bit tight and my dress is a little bit tight. I'm worried about in 6 months, I won't be able to fit the dress. Isn't it devastating? Isn't it concerning? Yes, absolutely. And guess what I will do? I'm going to hire a health coach to help me get in shape to make sure I look the very best for my wedding, because the wedding is coming in 6 months. Guess what? I'm going to pay for time, speed. I'm going to pay for health because I want to make sure I look the best, and also relationship, right? Because I want to make sure I look good, and then how to present myself. So it's a bit of relationship as well. So the money part is less important in this situation. I know I'm going to pay for a premium because I want fast result and guaranteed result. So therefore, you will trade time, money, health, and relationship in different scale based on what you're looking for. So I think this is so critical, really tying to the customer, who they are and what they're looking for. And that's why the customer analytics work is so important, because now you're understanding what are the things that really matters to them. And then you can customize your product and services, cater to their need. For example, like the example I just gave, right? Let's say this coach say, I'm going to get you a 12 months program. You got to do this module, month 1, month 2, month 12. It's like, I'm not interested because my wedding is coming in 6 months, right? So you offer me something that is not relevant to me, although this is something probably really powerful to have a 12 months program, sustaining health and help you lose weight to be more healthy. But in my situation, that offer doesn't align with me. So I think this is a good framework for you to think about your customer and your offer. And obviously the pricing is important as well, right? How do you have something offer if the price don't align? Either someone feel like more or less, they will not make the decisions on it. So therefore, everything has to line up together. And also the other part, why pricing is so confusing, this is something called the value to price formula, right? So you think about a value, like there's a base value people expect for the price they pay for, but also there's a perceived value that we all have, right? The higher the perceived value, the higher price you can command. So higher value, higher prices, lower value, lower prices, right? And also why the perceived value here that I purposely show the bar as a little bit fuzzy, because it's fuzzy for the perceived value, because everyone perceives something differently. So when you think about your product, how do you drive value chain along with the customer journey? How will you crystallizing your value and also align with the right pricing and the offer with them so that really resonate with your customers? That's really a winning formula that you want to keep note of. And lastly, I want to bring it all together that I told you about my proprietary price to profit framework. It really is an ecosystem. Everything starts with a mindset, because without the right mindset, that's why I asked earlier, when they think about pricing and premium pricing, what's your mindset? What's the mind come to you about? What's that really mean? Because that is really a critical foundation to help you think about all these pieces all line up together. So that's why mindset is first. And we talk about the pricing, the profit planning, and product services is all aligned together. But other things that I also think about is critical is not just setting a price. That surprise give you leverage to scale is also important, because if you cannot scale, you stay where stagnant, your profit also stagnant as well. So when you think about it all together, obviously customer first, you need to have a winning mindset. You need to really optimize your pricing. Pick a price is just the first step. there is a lot more into it about pricing management. When should you raise your price? What is your policy? There is a separate governance and process that you need to think about, so that way it's fluid instead of just kind of stay the same for a long time. So how you optimize, we talk about the right offer. So obviously the product and the value and the pricing is all has to be aligned for people to make a decision. And profit planning is very customized, right? We didn't really talk about specific here because each of the business has their own unique situation. So that's why that has to be a customized profit plan. And ultimately, we talk about leverage to scale. So this is really the price to profit framework that I help my client with. And I hope that you take it to really understand all different moving pieces. But I'm also hoping today you're able to learn a little bit about strategic pricing and probably think about pricing a little bit differently. But to sum it up, you have to really balance out your strategic pricing with your customers and the value you offer and the product and services aligned to deliver that value your customer is looking for. And then on the other spectrum is truly understand your cost. Cost in many different ways. So for example, when we talk about customer analytics, one of the things that we do is to really understand the customer lifetime value, how much it costs to acquire a customer, how much it costs to retain a customer, how much that customer bring in, what's the average revenue they bring from the client. So those are the key components you really need to understand about your customer in order to continue to make fact-based decisions to really optimize your profit. So I hope you find it helpful. And if you have any questions, please put in the chat. So I'd love to answer your question, anything related to strategic pricing. And again, I hope you feel excited about this topic because again, pricing superpower is super critical as you can see here. And I hope you continue to build on your pricing journey and really propel you to the next level. Thank you so much for spending time with me. I can't wait to connect with you. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you so much.